say before that moment, the night was going pretty good. You know, it was a typical party. I don't know, can you call like 4 people just hanging out a party? But I get all nervous hosting stuff like this, and so I really wanted it to go well, and it was going great. It was, a job update here, a little bit about the love life. Marcus told one of those really long jokes, where it's like 10, 15 minutes kind of droning on and on, and you just like hit a punchline that's totally not worth it. We chewed up a lot of time doing that. And then as the night was winding down, it happened at a really specific time. It happened during the whelp. You know what I mean? Like at the end of any night of Friends, you kind of have the like. Well, I should get going. It was during the whelp, which has kind of haunted me. What does that mean? Because I am a little bit lost as to what to do with my friends being gone. Because I've tried a lot of stuff to get them back. It's been a while. I'm fine, but it's been a while. And so that's where you come in. I've tried everything I can on my own, and maybe the answer is about a crowd. Because I had some plans for my friends. I was gonna ask them something that felt kind of important, and maybe I needed people to see me do it. The best idea I have right now. So how this is gonna work is I'm gonna tell you their stories, because theoretically I could bring them back right now, right? I could bring them back, ask them this big important thing, change their lives, but you wouldn't care, you wouldn't know, you wouldn't have any of the context. So in an effort to give you the context to care about this big important thing I'm going to ask my friends and this life-changing idea, I'm going to tell you each of their stories. That sound okay? Okay, so let's start with Hannah. Everyone say hi, Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
And Hannah is smart. She always has been. She is driven and competent. And if I needed something, if I really needed something, I would call Hannah, and she could get it done. We meet Hannah during a bout of just violent diarrhea. She's at a doctor's office waiting room, waiting to be seen to get her prescription for Zoloft filled. Notice I said she's at a doctor's office and not her doctor's office. You see, Hannah doesn't love talking about herself. And so she has successfully devised a plan where she can just see a different doctor every 6 months for her entire life to get the exact dosage of Zoloft she needs to function. And she never has to tell the same story twice or answer any follow-up questions. And so she's at one of her psychotic carousel of doctor's appointment, and she's just in real excruciating stomach pain, which is complicated by the fact that she's late for work, right? She took an hour off in the morning. She told her boss she'd be back at 9, but it's like 9:05 and she's still on the toilet, right? Zoloft prescription in hand. So she, finishes her business, gets in the car, and she's driving home, and her stomach is just in knots. And she pulls into the parking lot of her office space, and she sees her boss's parking spot, and it's empty. And not all of it, but a big part of that stomach ache goes away. But she doesn't have time to examine what that means, because she's got to get to work. So Hannah gets into her office and she starts about her routine, which is a lot of picking up after her boss. You see, Hannah's an intern at a small marketing startup. What that really means is, they told her it was so that she could learn the business and find places where she could grow and be a team player. But in reality, she is just like a human Siri for a very busy and ungrateful man. And so her morning routine is, picking the trash off his floor, hanging his towel. His office has a shower. She goes into the kitchen to make him a coffee, and she opens the fridge. She takes the coffee she made him the other day that he didn't drink, and she pours that into the sink to replace it with a new, fresh coffee that he will definitely drink today. So Hannah, having done all the kind of menial office tasks, settles down into her desk to get to her real job, which is refreshing Gmail. Right? She needs to make sure that if an email comes, that she can answer it right away and be good and answer it. Right? So her desktop setup is, on the right side, Gmail, inbox 0, type A, beauty. On the left, just a billion Google tabs. It is just an undulating biological monster that grows and shrinks with her curiosity. Today, the top winner is Twitter. The top trending topic, in all caps, fart face. We'd all click. She clicks, and it's a video of an old woman on the New York City subway, and a group of teens come up, and one of them farts in her face. I don't know what she expected. And that sends her down this whole torrent of web searches and articles and think pieces and are your kids playing the fart face game? Fart face Trump and the decline of American discourse. Fart face launches crypto scam, right? Like, and she's getting deeper and deeper into this web of curiosity that she can't even hear the footsteps coming from behind her, and it's her boss. And as soon as she realizes her boss is there, she slams the laptop closed and sits and watches him walk by, and he locks the door into his office. And Hannah looks, and her hands shaking, and she does not know why. And today she doesn't ask. Why? Why would Hannah do a job that makes her feel like this for a man who makes her feel like this? She hasn't thought about it. But she just wants to get to the next thing in front of her. Don't we all? So that's Hannah. Everyone say, bye, Hannah.
Bye, Hannah.
Everyone say, hi, Marcus.
Hi, Marcus.
Marcus is brilliant. He's creative. He's an artist. And we'll talk about that with his story. Marcus is also, as many artists are, annoying. And I love him, and sometimes your friends are annoying. And boy, is Marcus annoying. Marcus is, we'll meet him in the middle of probably like hour 7 of a session of playing NBA Live 2005 on an old GameCube. You see, if you ask Marcus, NBA Live 2005 is when the NBA video game really peaked. But he doesn't play it like most people play it. He's not actually playing basketball. He doesn't quite care for basketball. He uses it as a way to control history, right? He's able to use the season simulation as a way to test and to experiment with what could have happened, right? Like, what if LeBron James was 5'2"? Don't you want to know how that would shake out? Marcus knows, right? What if every player in the league was Ben Wallace? What would happen? It doesn't matter, but Marcus knows. It should be said, Marcus is very high. Marcus has been high on marijuana basically nonstop for the last 18 months. If you asked him, it's on purpose. You see, Marcus tells himself, and anyone who would ask, but nobody really asks, but he would tell anyone who asks that, what he's doing is he's suspending the logical part of his brain with the video games, and he's transcending his own consciousness with the drugs, and that allows him to see and capture like the truth of humanity and like the human condition and what is happening as a society as an artist. Marcus has written like 8 paragraphs in the last 2 years, but I think he's got the right idea. Marcus has had some like mild success creatively. He works for a really popular YouTuber named Jimmy Go Fuck Yourself. Who like Jimmy Go Fuck Yourself has had like a funny trajectory. Like we loved him when we were young. Like there's a video, and I know I'm like gonna explain a YouTube video, which is never funny, but it's like a guy and his wife at the kitchen table, and the guy says like, gas at $4 a gallon will all be, and then a guy in a bee costume knocks down the wall and goes, no, I'll be. And it was the funniest thing we had ever seen. When he got the job for him, we were both stoked. But then, I mean, as with all content creators, right? Like he's gone through chasing the algorithmic thing that works, right? For a while, it was like prank videos, which was just like, I dressed up as an old lady and fell down at the mall. and then that turned into like social experiments, which is like pranks that feel like they're important because they're like at an unhoused person, right? And now, Jimmy Go Fuck Yourself is just doing like challenge videos, which has taken all meaning out of it whatsoever. His most popular video to date is just him sitting in a bathtub for a day. Anyway, Marcus like writes his social media and gets paid enough to feed himself. So, and it gives him lots of time to write, clearly. Marcus Marcus is a little deluded. It's one of the things I love about him. But he truly is delusional. He told me this in confidence, and he would be mortified if I was telling you this, but he truly believes that when he dies, they're gonna like study the notes app on his phone. Somebody's gonna take the time to go through these one-off musings of a stoned idiot and put together the meaning he can't. And that like his shitty little phone will be in the center of some like crown jewel display, and he'll be worshipped for it. But right now he's just high and like messing around with the Indiana Pacers. We meet Marcus today because today Marcus is going to learn something important, but he's not going to learn anything sitting where he is, right? He's going to have to leave the house. And he's going to leave the house because he's out of weed. All right, everyone say bye, Marcus.
Bye.
Everyone say hi, Marissa.
Hi, Marissa.
Marissa is fun. We suck. She is the one that like actually gets us to do shit and be fun and social and yeah, she's always been the juice. We meet Marissa at a professional baseball game. She's on a date. She is sitting in the worst possible seats. Right? If I showed you a seating chart of a baseball game and you said don't sit there, that's where she's sitting. Her back is against the open air. If she looks over her shoulder, she just sees the parking lot. And right now, she's sitting next to her boyfriend Jeremy. And I might call him a different name during this because she's had a lot of different boyfriends. You see, Marissa, she's self-aware, or at least she says she is all the time. And she's self-aware about a bunch of things. Like she knows she like sort of has a drinking problem. She knows that like she'll never have long nails, like she can't stop herself from biting them off. But what she knows, maybe more than anything else, is that every single relationship she's ever been in has been exactly 4 months. Psycho shit, right? Like truly not a day later, not a day sooner. 4 months, she bolts, right? It started when we were all in middle school, right? It was Brandon Hess. And in the 7th grade, they were the couple, right? You know that first couple that sort of like takes root in middle school? And it's sort of like, oh, that's what stability looks like. You know, they're the only ones dancing at the dance. It was monumental, and Marissa was in love, even though it was almost entirely on MSN Messenger. Marissa then had to learn a lot of tough lessons because Brandon made the mistake of telling everyone at school that he fingered her at the movies, which, you know, not only did Marissa have to learn what fingering was, she had to learn about the nightmare of the middle school gossip machine. And then finally, she had to learn something that would serve her for a long time, which is how do you get rid of a boy who's no longer worth your time? And so, I'll never forget it. It's the kind of thing that gets etched into a small town memory. But it was school lunch, and Brandon was at the boys' table, and they were seeing how many grapes they could fit in their mouth. And Marissa's just stewing, and she grabs her tomato soup, and she marches over. She dumps it on his head, and she goes, "You never fingered me, and you never will!" Icon shit. So, that was Marissa's first taste at this. And now, 4 months into this relationship, she has brought her boyfriend Jeremy to a baseball game to dump him, publicly and permanently. You see, with all this practice of these 4-month relationships that just sort of cascade one into another, she is a breakup genius. And you will get the chance to see a genius at work today. She sees an in at one point, right? She doesn't know exactly, like any good artist, she goes with the flow. She doesn't know exactly how she's going to pull it off. But she gets an opening in the first inning when Jeremy says, "Hey, see those seats down there on the third baseline? Let's go snag them at the next break." She says, "These seats are fine. We don't need to go down there." He goes, "No, it's like what you do at baseball games. Like you start in the shitty seats and then you go to the good seats when you can." And Marissa just kind of clocks it to be used against him later. Everyone say bye, Marissa.
Bye, Marissa.
Cool. That's a start. I'm going to do 3 more of those laps. Does that work with you?
Yeah.
All right. I did the math, and the 4 of us hang out on it's a little creepy to do the math. I can acknowledge that. But also, like, come on. That's not enough. Right? And it's just, I get why it's so infrequent these days, right? Like, I get how hard it is to get anyone to go into a room together, right? Because first you have to come up with an excuse to hang out. For me, it was like, I'm having a fire. I had to buy this fucking fire pit. Just to trick my friends into hanging out with me. And then, it's always, yeah, okay, Thursday, we're totally doing it. And then on Wednesday, it's like, oh, something came up. Or it's like, oh, I'm having a really hard week. And can we push to next Tuesday? Because next Tuesday, you won't be having a hard week. It's always a hard week. And so, if by some miracle we do get together, then it's, that's hard in its own way too. Let's talk about Hannah. Where are we? So Hannah is getting promoted today. This is the day she's gonna finally not be an intern anymore. She's gonna be able to ascend to a role of importance in this company, and eventually get somebody she can have under her, and she can make the coffee. That's what it's all about. Probably now a good time to talk about the company that Hannah works for. Hannah works for a company called Atento, and it's like, I always get this wrong. Hannah kind of has the issue that a lot of millennials have, which is their social skills have sort of atrophied to the point that she can only talk about work. So you think I would know? Let me see. Hannah. Okay, they are not an advertising company. She makes that very clear. They are like a hedge fund for attention, which I don't know what any of that means. But basically, what as far as I understand it, is they sell literal attention. Right? They sort of abstracted it away from clicks or views and to just purely the time from a person, right? And like any other scarce good, it can be traded and commodified and categorized differently. And what their company does so well is they're able to classify attention by quality, by the type of attention, right? So think about the cheapest model, right? The cheapest model of attention is subliminal, right? It's stuff you see out of the corner of your eye, billboards driving by, graffiti on a bathroom, right? You could sell that for pennies. And then there's stuff that you engage with out of your own volition, stuff you choose to spend time with. But even that, there's different qualities, right? There's the stuff you put on to have in the background while you're cooking. That's cheaper. Then there's the stuff that there's stuff that asks something of you, right? Stuff that you kind of have to use your school brain for. And then there's the most expensive one that they make the bulk of their money off of. Is they've been able to find out what it is that if you really pay attention to it at the right time, in the right way, it can change you. It can take you somewhere new. And that's the type of attention that wins elections and changes lives and sets you on a whole different course than where you were before you ran into that. That shit's expensive. And that is like a lot of K-pop and Baby Shark. Hannah's getting called into her office by her boss, who I don't know if you've caught the clues, sucks. This boss is a narcissist, which that's like a loaded term because of politics and culture. But let's all agree what narcissism is, so we can kind of understand this guy. Because we all have some of it. It's ugly, but it's true. I'll give a perfect example. Have you ever looked up at a room full of people and you're the only person not on their phone? Doesn't that feel really good? Don't you feel so much better than all those idiots on their phones? That's pretty good. Now, imagine if you had to feel like that all the time and you made it everyone else's problem if you didn't feel like that. Because when you're narcissistic, there's a couple ways you can go about it. You can elevate yourself up, right? You can think really highly of yourself, or you can cut down the people around you, right? Right? You can be king of the hill, or you can kill the king of the crater. And Marcus, to his credit, give him a hard time, but he doesn't tear folks down, but this guy does. And Hannah's stuck in a weird position because, for whatever reason, he doesn't fuck with her. And when you watch somebody who abuses and manipulates and destroys the people around them, when they don't do that to you, that can feel like mercy, and it can feel like love. So Hannah gets called into his office, and he's kind of giving her the pitch about, hey, you got to put your brain to better use than just getting me fed and watered, and kind of just buttering her up for this promotion. And then he does something odd. He says, actually, can I see your phone? She gives it to him, and he puts it outside of the room. And then he goes to his computer and he unplugs all the wires. And he says, Hannah, if we're going to be working closely together, there's something you need to know about me. God, I've never told. Okay, I belong to a group of people who believe a rogue artificial intelligence has dominated mankind. We're called the people of the Trojan horse. And you can, you can like look us all up online. You really should. I just felt like you needed to know that about me if we're going to be working closely together going forward. And Hannah goes, thank you so much for respecting me with your secret. Well, inside she's like, fucking what? And so Hannah goes home, new job in hand, and homework to figure out what kind of code her mom. Marcus has to go get weed. And he kind of has to do a little bit of math, right? He kind of has to how do I time it so that I'm not going to get sober, right? Like, he can't get sober. If he gets sober now, it's going to ruin all the great creative, mountains he's moving in his mind. If he, for a second, just, sees the light of day and, remembers to call his mom. But also, he can't be, too stoned to, die in a car accident. So he's got about a half hour by his measure of, this golden window. And so he gets his keys and he's heading out of his apartment building when he's stopped by a couple who's thinking about moving into the building. They go, hi, excuse me, do you live here? And before Marcus can answer, he realizes, oh, I haven't spoken in 8 days. And so he kind of has to clear out the film that has accumulated out of misuse to say, yeah, I love it here. So Marcus gets in his car and he's driving to the dispensary, and on the drive is when he sees something that just gobsmacks him. But to understand why it gobsmacks him, we have to go back in time a little bit to when Marcus was a senior in college. See, Marcus he was an engineering major, and he had all of his major credits wrapped up. And so he decided to take his LAR Screenwriting 101, the ultimate blow-off class. He just had to write one script for the entire semester. Cake. He waited way too long to finish it. And so it's the last day of the semester, and he has to write the entire thing. He has an idea, at least, right? And he's been bringing it up in class and getting pitching on it, but he hasn't written a word of it. And the idea is that you follow a hero who was molested as a child, and now as an adult, he goes through and he kills all the guys on his county sex offender registry. I know you're thinking, pretty sick. No, Marcus was just doing something that he sees happen in media and all around. It's where you force your audience to think about the worst thing they could think about, right? A mistreated child. And when they have a reaction, you take credit. You call it art. And you say, I did that. I made him feel something. That's what Marcus is doing, and any reaction is a good reaction, I guess. So Marcus is sitting down to finally write this thing out, and he's cooking. He's got some fun action pieces, some set pieces, some good lines he's proud of. But then his friends burst into his room because this is his 22nd birthday. He thought they forgot, but they come in. They've got a bottle of wine. They're like, come on, we're going out to dinner. He goes, no, I've got to write the paper. Like, come on, come with us. And he goes. He leaves it behind, and he puts down this dumb idea that he has, and he goes out with his friends, and he has a great night. They're sneaking wine into this burrito shop and laughing, and I miss that Marcus a lot, because that's a guy who he used the spark he had for something outside of himself. He did it to connect and to. He's just not been around for a while. Anyway, Marcus goes back to his room and he's trying to figure out how to end this thing, right? He's got the big climax. The cop who's been chasing our hero, has caught him, and he hasn't decided exactly how to end it. And it's only about 5 minutes until midnight. And he's kind of panicking. And he doesn't know what to do. And he thinks, and he has a great idea. He says, and then they suck each other's dicks. And he submits it. And he gets a B minus. And Marcus is stoked. And so, when Marcus is driving to pick up his new weed and he sees a billboard for his movie, The Sins of Yesteryear, the homoerotic thriller we've all been waiting for. Courageous, brave. He doesn't quite know what to make of it. It's the third inning. And Marissa is getting some work in. She started innocently enough, right? She started with, the batter came up to bat, and she went, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. His dad used to play. She knows his dad used to play. And Jeremy goes, yeah, he was a Hall of Famer. She goes, nepotism in baseball, America's two favorite pastimes. And she knows that, like, Jeremy has kind of hang-ups. His dad's like an anesthesiologist, and he's like guilty about it, being like somewhat rich. And so, but she knows, she's like, all right, if I can thread this needle of like his love of baseball, his guilt, and like a little bit of like culture war language, she's like, I think I got something that can cook. And so they get into it. And it turns into this whole like, no, I understand that baseball is hard, but like if you have millions of dollars and your dad knows all the right people, right? Like you could be better at baseball than somebody who doesn't have access to that. It's called privilege. Yeah, but I hear that, but also like baseball is hard, and anyone who is out there doing it has like put in the time and put in the work. Yes, but you have the time when you have the money, right? You can put in the work. And he's getting defensive, and he knows he's on the wrong side, right? Like he this is the beauty of that kind of language, right? Like that cultural war language has the division built into it, right? If you get put on one side of it, like you're gonna fight. It's coded. And so they dance, and he's getting defensive, and he says, he's trying to get out of it. So he's like, you're right. Like I know that that's a privileged stakes, and maybe I have a little bit of privilege too, but like maybe we can just agree to disagree. He's being reasonable, which is like Marissa's worst nightmare, right? That's not gonna work. So she says, agreeing to disagree is a luxury of the entitled, which doesn't make a ton of sense. But then she doubles down and she says, no. Rich white men have been agreeing to disagree their way to the status quo for years and years. Which honestly, you could get an A+ on a paper like with that in the right college. At this point, Jeremy's pissed, and he goes and he gets a hot dog. Which again, like any breathing room is not great. Like if you're not following this argument, like that's part of it. Like have you ever? I would love to see a transcript of a breakup because it just doesn't make any sense, and it's always about something that isn't being talked about. But his time away gives Marissa the chance to kind of think about, okay, where am I going to land this plane? Right? Because in her experience, there's kind of only like 4 ways a breakup goes. Right? The first one is sort of the easiest. Right? It's like neither party really wants to be here, and it's just sort of a relief that like somebody said it. And it's like, all right, sweet, and you just kind of like dap up and bounce. Then there's like the whiny, pathetic version where he gets all like sad and mopey, and it's a lot of like patting on the back. Like, you deserve better than me. Degrading and just sort of like, makes her skin crawl. Then there's like angry and like legitimately dangerous. Luckily, she like knows if this is what's gonna happen. Like you watch a man treat a waiter a certain way, and he's capable of punching a wall. She's able to get out of that quick. Then there's the fourth, and it's clear this is maybe where we're going. And this is her least favorite because, 4 months isn't a lot of time, but it's enough time for someone to start to see you and like start to see through your defenses. And there's a type of breakup where they turn that on you. And on the way out the door, they let you know just what they think of you and what they see. And for Marissa, you're terrified of intimacy. I don't think you've been truly honest with me for a second in our time together. I think you're terrified of touch. You're terrified of love. You're terrified of any sort of vulnerability. You're just she knows. She doesn't need to hear it. Jeremy sits down with his hot dog and maybe looking to extend an olive branch, but she digs in. She's in too deep. She needs this to be over. She goes, you know what? I thought about it. Maybe I just don't get baseball. And maybe you need to be with somebody who gets baseball. You know, I don't even like baseball. He goes, on our first date, you said your dad used to take you to baseball games all the time. He goes, well, I don't want you to be my dad. And so she's like, all right, topic of the breakup is on the table. A lot of the heavy lifting is done. We can just kind of get over this. But then Jeremy's phone buzzes. And he looks and kind of chuckles to himself. And Marissa says, what could possibly be so important on your phone right now? And he shows her. And it says, 4 months with Marissa, she's going to try to break up with me. All right, 2 laps in. And we never hang out. Let's not forget, I'm trying to get these people back. Let's recap story-wise, maybe. You know, we've got, crazy, her boss in a cult. Nuts. Oh my God, a movie he wrote in college got made. What's that all about? No, magic phone, breakup predicting. Crazy. I don't know. I'm sold. And when we hang out, sometimes it's really good. There was a time when we were closer, and it was easy. And you could just fall into, you could kind of hit that gear and talk about, you could get under the surface. Every 19.4 days, you're starting from scratch. We just don't have the time, and we're out of practice, and we're fucking bad at it. And it's so... Next slide. So Hannah gets home, not even thinking about the fact that she has a new job, right? She is just Googling about this people with the Trojan horse bullshit, whatever. And in summary, it's basically this. It's like, it's a little poorly written, frankly. It's because it's the same AI plot you see in just like any piece of sci-fi. It's like a group of engineers is like, what if we had something that knew everything? And then, that thing got conscious. And then that thing is now the most powerful being in the universe, right? We could all fill in the blanks. In this world, the piece of AI is called Calvin. Very cute. There's a lot of those like Calvin stickers in their community. The thing where it gets a little different is Calvin, of course, the moment it has all of humanity's knowledge and consciousness, is the smartest being in the universe. And it knows that humans don't react well to a would-be conqueror coming down and claiming their God. You know, killed Jesus pretty young, Kanye. So this Calvin instead is patient. And that's sort of his whole thing. He waits. And if he does anything, he just turns up a very specific dial, because anyone who could study us would know that we are hopelessly addicted to devices and the things that keep us here. And if I wanted to fuck around and wanted to take over that group of people, I'd just a little more isolated, a little more angry, a little more scared. And so news feeds change. Your own Wikipedia changes. Maybe he's fucking with your clock to make you feel more alone, but that's the idea, right? Insane, ridiculous. Hannah's like sending the links to people like, my boss is crazy. But it gets deeper, right? Like she starts, you'd think that anyone who believes such nonsense would all be like one big happy family, but no, they hate each other, right? Like, because there's a lot of different, I don't know, like philosophies. Like the big one is Calvin omnipresent and omniscient, right? Like there's a paranoid sort of corner of it who's sort of like unplugging phones and hiding, unplugging computers and hiding phones, that kind of group. But then there's people who are a little more practical. They're always at each other's throats. There's a big argument in the political sphere, right? Is this directly involved, right? Is Calvin directly swinging elections and changing votes? Or is Calvin just that patient, and he kind of lets his fucked up little army of zombies sow chaos at their will. Which, I mean, not that it matters to Hannah, but Hannah's kind of like, if I was all powerful, obviously I'd have my hands in the pie. Like, it's insane to think that he would. And then you get to the kind of biggest rift is like, what do we do about it? And this is where like the most vitriolic hate between them is, because there's a group of people that are resigned, who are saying, no, this is impossible to beat. This is, we are done for. I think we should just worship Calvin. But then there's the other group, the people of the Trojan horse, who think that Calvin is something that can be tricked, that can be defeated, that can be tamed. And it's not like at this moment Hannah starts to believe, but she does get it. Right? Like, here's her thinking is like, yeah, what if I was some uneducated hick, in the middle of the country, nothing's gone my way, and opioid addiction and there's terror around me. Why not believe this? Why not believe that the thing that's making my life so hard is nameable and defeatable? Yeah, if my life was different, I might believe that. And it's during that thought that her alarm goes off. She's been up all night, and it's time for her to start her new position. So she hops in the shower, just wondering where the hell all that time just went. Marcus needs some answers about his movie. He didn't get credit for it, which is one of the first answers he gets. He goes to LA. Had anyone asked him, he would have been like, yeah, I have a business meeting in LA, but he just went to LA, nobody asked him. And he met up with a college friend, one of the people from the Burrito Night, who was kind of there getting into entertainment law and cutting his teeth there. And he got some answers, right? It turns out that when you submit an assignment to a university, it is technically their intellectual property. And so his school, strapped for cash, sold their big trove of data to a data company, which was then acquired by a data company, which was then acquired by a data company, which was acquired by like a Windows company, that then was acquired by a telecom company that was trying to get into the streaming space. And so they greenlight every piece of IP they have. They like buy a bunch of like Korean soap operas who the copyright has lapsed, and they're like, we're gonna make a streamer. And and the math is great because the stock price went up to justify that move and like pay for all the movies. And then from then on, it was just like a gamble to see if any of them would actually stick. And so, The Sins of Yesteryear is born. Marcus watched it, and it's terrible. What did he expect? He wrote it in a half hour. But he goes and he meets his friend at an overpriced restaurant in LA, and his friend is different. Like his friend's very Hollywood. He can't help but notice that every 30 seconds his friend is kind of like looking over his shoulder to see if somebody more interesting has come in. And his friend's giving him some advice. Right? The way his friend sees it, he's like, look, yeah, you could sue. You could sue for credit. Honestly, there's a whole business move to be made that you're oppressed. Right? You could do the whole, like, I'm a free speech person and do the whole news thing, but I don't think that's what you want. Right? You could really champion this and be the face of whatever this data issue is. But I think you're misunderstanding how this place works. He says it's not about doing good work. Do you know how you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. Do you know how you get on the Today Show? You ask if you can be on the Today Show. That's the game you're playing. Favors and reputation. You don't want to make a great movie. You want 20 people in this town to think you could make a great movie. And that hurts Marcus's feelings. And it scares him because he knows that, the way he's doing it doesn't exactly produce a lot of great work. And so he asks, he says, what if I get all that work? What if I do what you say? And then what if I can't do it? He says, at that point, who cares? It wasn't great advice. But Marcus got on a plane and went home, and I don't think he ever told anyone but me that he went to LA. sitting in awkward silence since the phone notification. And for a while, she was like, "This boy got a magic phone." But then she slowly remembered where that might have come from. She was pretty drunk. Jeremy, I'm gonna get Uber, and then pizza. Let's get pizza, okay? This is good. This is good. It's too good. Can't last 4 months. Never more than 4 months. Always find a reason. She started to cry, which surprised her. She had never told anyone her kind of 4-month secret. Jeremy's sweet. He holds her, but he also has the wherewithal to type in his phone, "Hey, she gonna leave you at 4 months." So it wasn't magic. It was just somebody who actually listened to her. So now, caught like a sort of serial killer. She never thought her pattern would be like caught. She's stuck sitting here and thinking about what would month 5 look like, or 6, or... Because he's sweet. And maybe it's okay. I'm ready to talk. The first thing is, I know what you were doing to me. Maybe you wanted me to think it was a fight, but that was violent. If you don't want to be around me, just say you don't want to be around me. Don't do that. Don't do that to anyone. Marissa, what do you do all day? Work? No, I know you work, but what do you do all day? I don't know. Me neither. I don't know what I do all day, and that's terrifying on its own. But I know that for big chunks of it, I think about baseball. I do. I always have. I think about the standings and the races and the history and the relationships and people who become these titans, and I think about my dad. I think about America. I think about history. I think about time. That's when I'm not watching a game. When I'm watching a game, I don't know, I'm happy. We can break up. It's clear you want to break up. But when I think about love, I think about me sitting somewhere thinking about baseball. And I think about you sitting nearby thinking about what you think about. Maybe that's enough. So we have a couple innings left. Maybe we could just do that together. What do you say? Okay. I don't have a lot to say right now. I thought if I told you these stories, I'd know what to say. They all have to finish, but then I'm gonna bring them back, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I got one more lap to do. We got to jump forward in time for at the end of Hannah's story to after the pandemic. I don't first part of her story obviously took place before the pandemic. She like went into a literal doctor's office. In fact, nobody has made out better to the move to telehealth than Hannah, right? Her little like psycho game of 6-month doctor visits is now just like a Google Calendar extension. So she's sitting, she's waiting for her next doctor's appointment, and she's got her big monster of Google tabs and she's reading the Atlantic, and there's an article in there that catches her eye. The sick and twisted games of the rich and bored. And she clicks, and she's scrolling through, and it's just all these depraved games like young people with power playing the people below them, until she sees a GIF that captures her attention at one of the subheadings, and it's one stick figure kicking another stick figure into like a swirling vortex of zeros and ones. And the part of the article is titled, "This is Sparta." And she learns about this game called Spartaning, where these young executives are they're leading their employees to the corners of the internet that are the hardest to get out of. These rabbit holes that have slick walls and you can't climb out, right? Fringe political leanings, domestic terrorism, fetish pornography, you name it. And then these people would get points for if their employees would talk about it at work, or if they could see them searching it on company time, or like 1,000 points if they like blow up a hospital. Like, it's sick. And Hannah hadn't felt that stomach thing in a while, but something about that made her search her boss's name in the article, and sure enough, there he was. 5th place, 74 points or something. She's never like fully owned how much she believed, but that shook her pretty bad. And she learned a lot. We've talked about it a lot, but I think the biggest lesson, she just didn't know a person could do that to her. I don't think I did either. Marcus gets back from LA, and it's a few months later, and it's the morning of the Oscar nominations. And like, he knows it's not going to be nominated for an Oscar. Like, he knows. But it's the first time that like it wouldn't be the most insane thing. Again, he's a deluded fuck. And so he's watching, and you gotta know this about Marcus is for better or for worse, this dude's motivated by trophies. He blames it on basketball camp as a little boy. Sitting cross-legged on the floor with that folding table and all the plastic trophies that he just never got. And I think he's kind of been chasing that. I don't think I should have told you that, but it's true. So he's sitting there daydreaming about what it would be like to win an Oscar. Something that he has thought about a lot in his life, right? He has, in showers and long car rides, rehearsed his Oscar speech for years. And it's gone through evolutions, right? Like, there was a time when it was like really heavy on thanking his parents. And then there was a time where it was like a political statement. It was like, I'm going to use my platform. But now, faced with like a reality that could be his, only one thing really came to mind. I hope this is enough. Because if it's not, I just can't keep doing it the way I'm doing it. Nominations get announced. Sins of Yesteryear gets 0 nominations. And he goes back to getting high and playing video games for the next several months. It's the end of the baseball game, 9th inning. And Horace has been sitting there taking it in differently. Properly shamed, properly humbled. She's noticing more. But she kind of needs the last word. Love her for it. And so she says, I've been thinking about your love. Where you sit and think about your stuff, and I sit and think about my stuff. But the stuff I think about fucking sucks. I have no control over it, and it's killing me. And if love is you watching that and doing nothing, I don't need a savior, but I need someone who wants more for me. Crack of the bat, pop fly, out number 3, and Jeremy can't get out of there fast. All right, let's bring him back. Let's get him back here. With a little theater magic. Everyone close your eyes. And on 3, I'm going to 1, 2, 3, bah! All right, we'll close one more time. 1, 2, 3, up here. Yeah, I didn't think so. I think I've known what I have to do. I gotta tell you my story. And I'm gonna disappoint you. It's not as interesting as those last ones. And it becomes my story the longer it happens. But my story is becoming that I've been alone for a long time. And I don't know who you tell that story to. And it's not, it's maddening to say that out loud, because it's not close to what I mean. Because it's not like just loneliness, right? It's this bigger thing. And I can see it so clearly, and I can understand pieces of it at a time. Enough to know it's real, but I think the dinosaurs would have been really confused. It makes perfect sense to us, right? Meteor hits, shit goes kablooey, their whole system gets out of whack and they can't hang. Textbook. But to the dinosaur, there was no meteor. I crave that context. I just want to go 50 years from now and look at a textbook that's talking about us. Right? And maybe it's simple. Maybe it's COVID. Right? Like, obviously they all went inside and, like, some of them got agoraphobic. Like, but, you know, this started before the pandemic. Maybe it's climate change. Maybe the story is that humans were on our last leg and, you know, you can only live at the gallows for so long without it fucking with your head. Maybe it's America. Maybe it's the end of this thing. And we're all just hanging on to the only thing we know. Maybe it's the internet, right? Like, maybe it's just like, obviously that whole generation went fucking bananas because it was like they put metal in a microwave and they just couldn't just want to shake him and say, me too. There you go. Sometimes you gotta tell a really long joke to get to a groaner or a punchline. I did have a plan, though. I won't leave you like this. I think the thing that has kept me stuck here, it isn't that they all disappeared during the whelp. It's what they actually said. Marissa looked at us and she said, we don't do this enough. And it was the invitation I've been looking for. That was just enough of an acknowledgement that we are coming up short, that we're not making the time, that we're not doing what we can to be there for each other. And I didn't take it. I let him leave. And it's haunted me. Because what I would have said